Hello to the next session of questions and answers, another set of 10 very interesting ones: relationship, career, health, all the yogas and Vargas will be going through all those nice nuances of Vedic astrology. By the way, if you are new here, my name is Rafał Gendasz and I'm practicing Vedic astrology since more than 20 years in the Shri Achyutananda Parampara with a teacher, V.C. Larson, and I went through all major courses like Parashara, Gemini, Upadesha Sutra and the Mantra Shastra, and I graduated in philosophy. So let's see the first one. And this is from 5556. If a Venus is in the Meritu Avashta, does it mean that the spouse will die? What is Avashta? This is the state of planet, and basically it is also a big part of the dosha, which is affliction. When we talk about the main conditions for affliction, it's either bad house, afflicted by malefics, or in a bad state. So this is the state part here. And the major one is about weakness, like for example it could be debilitation or in the enemy sign, like Mars is debilitated in Cancer, Sun is debilitated in Libra, Saturn is debilitated in Aries. So each planet is very weak in some sign and very strong with another sign. Now, to answer this question fully, we have to go through this division into the literal and methodical. So there will be many literal interpretation of the placement of planets or the nakshatras, things like that, and people are very attracted to it. And this is the irony of that, because on one hand it's very literal, so we think it's ready to apply, but the reality is completely different. Those literal things like the Mritu Avashta, which imply that something will die, or a combustion, or any other like Panchanga afflictions, all of them need to be then methodically checked about the intensity, and then they are either confirmed or denied. And we see that when we are, for example, analyzing the charts of one family and they all experience one event. For example, they could go through some accident. So it's nice to analyze all, for example, 3 charts of such people, and then we will see that the affliction and the timing all will be right, but it will be described in different way, even if the objective external event was the same. So now we have interesting categorization. The external event may be shown by different doshas, which are the afflictions, but now why they are different? Because they also may mean something else for those specific people. For example, if the father leaves the family early, they could be 3 children, and each of these will experience that event differently. For some, it could be very hard event, and other will take it more lightly. So this is the difference in that type of the dosha, which will change that internal part, but they all may relate to the same objective event. So this is important thing to understand. So we can see that this literal part could be like a moon, and this methodical part could be the Mars Karaka. So we prefer, or we start with the moon, which is like a trigger to then check how this thing will really manifest through that methodical or analytical level of the Mars. As you may see by the title of our astrology, Analytical Vedic Astrology, I'm quite attracted to that methodical approach, and this we are doing here from the beginning on this channel. This is not the over, this is quite a big answer here, because even if we took it literally and that will really afflict that Venus, then still we have a 4 ingredient which needs to be crossed to cause the affliction. Basically, it starts with that concept of Bhava, Lord Karaka, which is seen, for example, in texts, ancient Vedic texts like Sarvarta Chintamani, which says that house, Lord, and Karaka needs to be checked to say anything solid. So the solid predictions must take into account few parts. So this is like the initial methodical start for all this. And in the tradition, I was taught that the at least Bhava or the Lord and the Karaka has to be afflicted. So we have like at least 4 points, because we take it in the Rasi and in the Navamsha. So even if the Venus is afflicted, still we need to have 7 Lord and both of them afflicted in the Navamsha. So therefore, you can see how the literal part, if we just jump from that description to the prediction without any methodical filtering, how that could be dangerous and also false. By the way, if you like to see the health or demise or those things, then dispositor of the Lord representing that person in your life. So for spouse, take 7th Lord, see 7th Lord dispositor, how it is placed. Not only the placement will decide the overall health situation of that person in your life, but also this is beautiful because we can use the dasha. This is now connecting to the second question, which is about the zodiac. Are we using the sidereal? Are we using the tropical? Because the dasha is starting from the star. It's based on the stars. So if you have some exposure, how the dashas are nicely working, it's very hard to go back. If you put the birth details of your chart and see the dasha, even the popular Vimshotri from the moon dasha, and you will notice how the planets are showing the most important event for your life. Like see the dasha when you move to another country, or when you married, or when you have a child. It will so nicely show your event that then it is very much ingrained in your brain that the stars are really showing something, because the dasha, the reference point for the start of dasha, is the star of the moon. Is exactly the star in which the moon is placed. So one of many arguments for the Nirjana or sidereal zodiac. Now the second thing which is convincing me for the sidereal, by the way, the question is here coming from the Rowan Hawk, justification of use of Lahiri or Sayana. Ayanamsha Sayana is the tropical zodiac. Maybe the first point, how I see it, is that I'm not wiser than Ptolemy. I'm not wiser than this big astrological giants who are also using tropical zodiac. So it is quite difficult to rationalize it through arguments, because each school will have some reference point and some logic attached to it. So what is convincing for me is just the experience itself. If you are going through the dashas, and especially the second point, which I wanted to mention, the Varga charts, the divisional charts. And why the divisional charts are so important here? Because you will notice that if you compare the position of the planets, let's take your own chart, natal chart, you will compare, like I have the Cancer moon is in the Aquarius, so it's an 8, and so I could derive something from this. But if you take the Varga charts, then the planetary placement will not be similar. It will not be a little bit different, but the nature, how the divisional charts are calculated, that these are the demarcation points of house and the degrees, how the house is divided into the parts, and then there are some calculations which are moving the planets to completely different places in those additional charts. Divisional charts is destroying that logic of it's a little bit off. It's totally different. So the Vargas are totally reshuffling the position of the planets. Therefore, it is so important, and the rectification is so deciding process, because if the minutes is a little bit different, it's not that the situation will be a little bit off. It can be totally, because the planet will go to totally different house in that additional chart. So if you are using the dashas which are based on the star, like Udu dashas, the Vimshotri and so on, and if you are using the Varga charts and you are exposed to that experience, how your life is nicely shown in these or with these methods, it's hard to go back. It becomes very much ingrained in your thinking that these calculations, which are based on the sidereal zodiac, are the correct ones. Because the Varga charts will not only give you that psychological part of the things, but they are, because they are restricted to the one area, they are also more detailed, and especially if you are combining these two, the Dasha and the Vargas, if you both connect them, then it will give you a nice mix, and both are based on sidereal, so it's, as said, maybe fifth time in this answer, hard to go back from that experience. Because we have that big answer for the first one, maybe we will divide these sessions. So the next one is about the, coming from the day, the crow shapes. We have a question about the, what does it mean when the Lagna Lord, which is the Ascendant Lord, is atmakaraka. So the first we have to understand the Lagna Lord is the Lord of the sign of your first house. So if your Ascendant, let's say, is in Cancer, the Cancer is always loaded by the moon, so then moon becomes your lord of ascendant. This is a very important planet because it shows your decisions, your personality, where your awareness is going, where you are choosing. It has a big impact on your personality part, how you behave, and are you courageous? For example, if Ascendant Lord is in 3rd or 6th, or are you rather following some teacher? It could be related to with Ascendant Lord is in 10 or 11. Are you very independent? Lagna Lord in 9th. Are you very controlling? Lagna Lord in 5th. Are you having the blessings of parents? Lagna Lord in 4th. And many, many such. Not only personality, but also with that also comes the whole karmic package. By the way, if you like to have your chart read, the Rasi, Navamsha, all the yogas, the planetary placement, what they mean, how this mysterious planetary positions is translating to the prediction in your health, productivity, relationships, children, career life, and how these will be spread in time. We can use the timing system, the dasha, and also be more proactive, so doing the remedies and what are the best remedies for your chart based on your planetary position, which mantra to recite daily to block the negative and enhance the positive side of your chart. So for that Zoom consultation, 60 or 90 minutes, you can find the link in the description. Okay, now the atmakaraka is the planet which has the highest degree in the chart. For Rahu, we are counting the reverse. Ketu cannot be atmakaraka. And there can be a situation when your ascendant lord, so the planet which is lording your ascendant, like we said, if you are, let's say, Leo, that would be Sun. It could be like that the Sun will have the highest degrees. It could be like 29 degrees, basically at the beginning of the month. So then your ascendant lord becomes atmakaraka. Now, atmakaraka depicts we say soul, but more accurate is something which in the Sankhya, or the psychological makeup of living beings, is called spirit. This is said to be something between the soul, which is always pure, always white. So in reality, it cannot have any type of identity, and because that would go against the logic of the soul, and between soul and the mind. So mind is giving that coloring, and therefore we say that atmakaraka for each of us is one of these 8 grahas, or planets, loosely said, or objects. So you may have Mercury atmakaraka, you may have Sun atmakaraka, and so on. The atmakaraka now is telling us also about identity, so about us, very strongly, but on much deeper level. We could say the deepest level, especially if we take into the Navamsha, because the Navamsha is also something deep and internal. So you have deep of the deep, Karakamsha. Atmakaraka in the Navamsha is showing your deepest identity, because it's the deepest scheme of things, the Navamsha, and also the deepest point, which is the Atmakaraka. So in the Rasi chart, it is showing the lessons we have, because it is coming also from that theory that we are here. The material world is not our original place. We are here to experience karma and ultimately get a moksha, or liberation. Therefore, the soul or the spirit will have to remind us using, usually it's said that we are reminded the best about the illusion that this is our body, this is our place, based on some kind of suffering or some challenge. So when Ascendant Lord is atmakaraka, these challenges, or this reminding that this is not our place in the form of some suffering or challenge, the lessons, as we call it, this is a nice word because it connects this so-called suffering with it is for our good, for our awakening. So this will be related to the ascendant, which is the choices, fame, health, learning. So challenges in those parts cannot be ignored. That is the second lesson we are learning from atmakaraka. Whenever atmakaraka is placed in the chart, these parts of life we cannot ignore. My Guruji taught us that this is like a burning in the house. So if your house is burning, or let's say some room in the house is burning, you cannot ignore it. So we will see that there are some challenges in our life when we are like, it's okay. let's move on. And some things will be hard to move on, because that moving on is based on the digestion, and the atmakaraka needs a special stomach to digest. It's not so easy, and therefore each of us will have that weak spot in our life. And on the positive note, this is the something which we treat as a god. If atmakaraka is in 10th, then we treat career as a god, very important. Maybe the hustler lifestyle, which is already outdated in this generation, is when atmakaraka is in the 10th house. All right, guys, so that would do it for today. And we will continue. If you want to see some previous ones, then please consider watching this one.